when they were doing theirs, we just asked them if they would put 2,700 K lighting in, and they said, yeah, no problem, and they did, and that is like, it's just done really well.
All right, I think we're ready to admit Tom here.
Let's hope, everybody else shows up.
There's Steve. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Carly. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I have Michael here with me.
Hey, Tom, how you doing?
Hi, Michael. Good. How are you?
I'm well, thanks for doing this tonight.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, we are getting set.
Sounds
Is
good. How many people are joining?
Melissa should be the only other.
the sustainability committee is not gigantic, I'll tell you that. I mean, we
To
don't
be
really,
fair, we're still looking for a couple of members.
yeah, we don't really pack the whole crowd, let's say that. I
Small but
don't know,
mighty.
yeah, I don't know if you were thinking it was gonna be a huge bunch or not, or what.
I I try to not have too many expectations for when I present because then things go differently. And it's better just to
Uh,
plan for talking to anyone who wants to listen.
well, definitely, I'm definitely interested in what you have to say. It's yeah, I don't know, what am I trying to say? We're gonna be building a new village hall. And
Do you want to call the meeting to order?
I can't until Melissa's
Okay.
here. is
Okay.
the problem.
Sounds good.
I really
Yeah.
shouldn't. Let's hope, if Melissa doesn't come, we're gonna do this anyway, but it just won't be an official meeting.
Right.
So then it's recorded. Let's see if she's, oh, I don't know if I.
There she is.
Okay, there we go. We can talk about it later, but we're putting together a new village hall, and I was kind of asking about some geothermal stuff in it. Oh, I think that's kind of in this wheelhouse, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was kind of like, well, I was kind of like, wow, all this sort of stuff's kind of coming together at the same time, so. All right, looks like Melissa's here. So Melissa, you with us?
Yep, she's right there.
I'm here. Hey, everybody.
Okay. All right.
Hello.
Now that we have our quorum, I'm going to call the December 18th, 2024 Sustainability Committee meeting to order. Okay, we're gonna do a roll call. Melissa Gavin,
Here.
Steve Douglas,
Here.
Aaron Linus, and Michael Pomakowski. I'm here. Is there any public comment? Not seeing anyone online, not seeing anyone here, no public comment. We are in committee member report outs and updates. Any updates or report outs?
My update is that I brought Tom onto this call. And then we're going to talk a little bit about possibilities for building electrification and potential avenues for collaboration, or at least learning from other municipalities that are exploring this in Wisconsin.
That is excellent. I was my report out is kind of like what I was talking to Tom just a little bit before you got on, Melissa. The new village hall is being built. It's kind of a question I didn't get to you with on my list of things earlier, but the village board hasn't been looped in a whole lot on like what's going on with the village hall, and so I kind of asked Jay the other day if geothermal was being considered for the building due to its properties and etc. And he sort of said, one, I think he said no, because it was going to be too expensive, and two, something about the water table being too high over there. That was just kind of a quick little side thing, which I thought was kind of weird. But I think this kind of gets into what Tom's going to be talking about. I just wanted to let you guys know, you guys got it later on today. I sent you an email. I was just sort of like thinking about what Jay had said. I was like, I contacted our Joe, forget his last name. It's, he's our Focus on Energy rep. And I emailed him asking questions about geothermal, about the cost, about whether or not a high water table mattered at all. And he got back to me with a really great email. I forwarded all to both you and Steve. So it's a really good thing. He basically said that the water table shouldn't be an issue. And if anything, if it is a high water table, it might actually be better for thermal conductivity rather than soil.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so just letting you know, that's kind of like,
Interesting. Okay,
so you guys have an email there. I don't really know how far along that ball is along with that geothermal thing or not, but we're trying to electrify stuff because I think the alternative is gonna be like boilers and natural gas and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So,
Yeah. So the Village Hall project will be introduced on the 13th. That's what the special meeting will be about on January 13th. So feel free to tune into that as well. But yeah, we'll be talking about our progress so far and where we're going.
and that's the village board meeting.
It's a village board meeting. Yep, special village board meeting on January 13th.
and that is an avenue for members of the public and or the sustainability committee to make a push for sustainability options with the new village hall. Is there any kind of like, of course we can always
I mean,
invite public
there's a
comment.
public comment.
Yeah.
Period. But unless, I mean, if there's something directly related to the agenda, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I think it is for like the public to come and speak about what they want to
Yeah.
see, et cetera, et cetera. This is actually like the first public thing, I think, since
Since the input sessions
Yeah.
that I think were happening in like
May.
May.
Yeah, I
Yep.
mean, it's been
Yep.
like kind of 7 months of like,
Yeah. So we've done a lot of work. So yeah, please come.
yeah, definitely.
Okay, December or January 13th.
13th
At
is
6 o'clock.
a Monday, right?
Yeah. And you can actually use the same link you use for these meetings because we only have
Ah.
one Zoom.
Okay. Did we get Tom back?
Don't think so. No.
Did he leave?
Yeah, he left the.
I think he dropped off. So he
Oh,
might
no.
be
I
having
haven't seen
technology.
him request to come back in yet.
Oh, I hope he's coming back, right?
Oh, that's
Jumping
really-
back to that village meeting, it's a Wednesday, January 16th?
It's
No, Monday, the 13th.
Oh, Monday the 13th. Okay.
Yep. And Tom is back. Did you have anything, Steve, you wanted to report out on?
I do not. No, thank you.
I just wanted you guys to know about that.
Thanks, Michael.
Yeah.
And for the 100th, okay, so again, the start time is 6 o'clock on the 13th?
Yep, 6 o'clock on Monday, January 13th.
Okay, great. I'll put it on my calendar. Steve, will you be in town or are you guys, because you guys are heading out, right? Yeah.
Not until February.
Okay.
So yes, I will be in town.
Okay. Welcome back, Tom.
Thank you. I'm at my parents' house and their internet just cut out, and so now I'm on my phone.
That
so-
works too. That was quick
Yeah.
thinking.
I prepared a presentation for y'all, but now I don't know how I will share that, but we'll try to get the internet.
You can
Okay.
always email it to us too.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and you could just talk through it.
Okay, let me do that.
Great.
Okay, while you're doing that, we are going to have a discussion on possible approval of the November 20th, 24 sustainability meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting?
I have some corrections.
Oh, great.
Under talking about potential new members. Item 7, discussion was had regarding committee membership, etc. The names of 3 residents who may be interested in joining the sustainability committee. Andy Hartman, that is correct. Jen, it should be Wankerl instead of Whitehall.
Oh, can you provide
It's,
the spelling?
Wankerl. Did I get that? Wankerl.
Wankerl.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's,
I
Okay.
don't think it's, yeah. And I don't know who Jack Buggy is. Did we talk about a Jack Buggy?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
he was my neighbor who kind of had expressed some interest. I think I might have mentioned him real fast.
Okay. Melissa, you were gonna ask
Yeah.
about a former, was she a Cub master or a Cub
No, Steve, you're
member?
right. Yeah.
You're gonna ask Chris.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was, and I dropped the ball on that. Thank you for reminding me. I dropped
Let's
the
just say
ball.
there was another person we want to we're trying to track down. I don't know how you politely say that in the minutes.
So I can say
Um,
Jen, Jack, and then who is the fourth person's name?
that's what we don't know,
Yeah,
but
Okay.
I
we
don't.
know people who know.
Den leader
Yeah.
person.
I
Yeah,
I'll just say and an additional um
yeah.
an
and
additional citizen who previously attended our outreach presentation.
okay.
I wasn't sure. I do have the last name, Jen's last name spelled with my contact from my phone. So I just double checking because I didn't hear what you said, Steve, but what I have is Wankerl. Is that what you
That
said?
sounds that sounds
Yep,
better.
that's
I
what I've
left
got.
Okay,
okay, ERL. Yep.
great.
Wayne Girl. Yep.
Yep. So I will amend those, make those amendments.
Great.
And otherwise, I would motion to approve with the corrections.
I second.
Okay, motion and a second. Is any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes as amended, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay, meeting minutes are approved. Now we have our guest speaker, Tom Hager with Clean Wisconsin. Are you ready, Tom?
Yes, and I'm back on my computer, so
Yay.
that worked out. Yeah, so I guess I'll introduce myself a little bit and then I'll talk about the main project I'm working on, and then we can talk about geothermal a little bit, although I'm not a geothermal expert, but I can tell you what I know.
Yeah.
So I am the clean buildings manager at Clean Wisconsin. So Clean Wisconsin is a statewide environmental nonprofit. We work on state and local policy related to energy, air, water, agriculture, and the environment. Um, my work focuses on buildings, making them more resilient, more efficient, and less carbon intensive. And the main project that I'm working on is as part of the Resilient and Efficient Codes Implementation Project, which is a grant project, DOE funded grant project that Slipstream is leading, and Clean Wisconsin is one of several other project partners. So I actually have a little bit of a presentation, which I can, I just, let's see, okay. Um, can you all see this?
Yep.
Okay. I think I'm sharing
Yeah,
presenter mode, even though I
you're
don't
in
mean to
present mode.
be.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not sure how to get rid of that, honestly. Let's see. Okay, there we go.
Yep.
So
Oh,
the project is called the Resilient and Efficient Codes Implementation Project. Project partners include Clean Wisconsin, Wisconsin Local Government Climate Coalition, MIA, NBI, and Slipstream. As part of that project, there is a municipal support program, which we're calling the Resilient and Efficient Buildings Local Government Advisor Group. So there are several different components of this project. One is to understand and sort of gain support for updates to Wisconsin's energy code. There's a residential code and a commercial code, and they're both pretty far behind compared to the state of technology, what other states are doing. Wisconsin preempts local governments from instituting their own energy code, so everyone just has to build to this kind of very old standard. So the a little bit of background around that, and stop me if y'all know about all this, but the commercial code process happened ended last year, and then a small committee within the state legislature blocked the code update. The governor sued the legislature for several different reasons that he thought were them overstepping their power into executive powers. The part about the code update is still in the Supreme Court. They still haven't made a decision on it, but we're pretty confident that they will rule in favor of the governor. Whether that means that the code gets updated to what was recommended, which is the 2021 model code, remains to be seen. So commercial code sort of in limbo, residential code update process just started this year. So I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Another part of this project is code compliance support. Other project partners that aren't me and Clean Wisconsin are leading that, but that involves a very large study of different newly constructed residential and commercial buildings throughout the state to see how well they comply with code. Another part of the compliance support is developing an energy code collaborative to get people who work in the buildings and energy code space talking about energy codes and what they struggle with complying with, etc. The last piece, which is really what I focus on, is the local government support program. Actually, we've expanded it to just be the government support program because now we're involving Native nations as well. But the point of that program is, local governments can't implement their own energy code, but they can do a lot relating to resilience and efficiency within their own buildings and their communities' buildings. So trying to help them do that by creating a network. So sorry that I don't know if y'all can see the titles, but the residential energy code update process is just starting, as I said. Scope statements were written and are now being slightly amended. So we're sort of here. It's a 30-month process. Once the scope statement is finalized, the Uniform Dwelling Code Council, which is appointed by the governor, will work on deciding what to recommend as the new residential energy code. They will probably base it on either the 2021 model codes or the 2024 model codes, which are put out every year by the International Code Council. Usually states amend those model codes to fit their particular situation, and Wisconsin likes to amend codes more than other states. So it will definitely include amendments of some type. But yeah, we're pretty early, and there's a lot of opportunity for the public to make statements, make comments, either written or in person. We're also providing technical assistance to the Council on Building Sustainability. There's a lot of councils within DSPS. The Council on Building Sustainability, CBS, advises the Uniform Dwelling Code Council, but has no real rulemaking power. But we are providing different analyses to them about how much an update to the 2024 code would cost, what the differences are between our current code, the 2021 and the 2024, things like that. So the compliance study, which I mentioned before, Slipstream is leading this portion of the project, and they're sampling homes and commercial buildings in different counties throughout the state, trying to get good geographic representation and just seeing how much people are complying with code, but also sort of the state of technology, the state of the art of construction in Wisconsin. In order to get a better understanding of, if we increase to this new code, will that really be impacting people much, or are people already doing the modern practices way beyond our like lower code limit. So just trying to get a better understanding of where construction is at in Wisconsin so far. The residential part of these baseline studies just started. The commercial part of these studies has not yet begun. So our project team also hired 2 energy code advisors, also called circuit riders, and their purpose is just to go around the state, meet with code officials, contractors, and subcontractors, and educate people about the code and how to comply with the code and what maybe to look for in the future with code updates. This is more about the code collaborative. I'm sort of going to skip this because I want to get to the municipal support. So the municipal support program started in earnest probably around April. And the purpose, as I said, is to assist local government. And there are a couple different components of this task. One is to develop a resilient and efficient buildings roadmap that will basically walk local governments through progressive steps that can make their buildings better and better. So it starts with planning, and then it goes to leading by example, and then more from there. And the different parts of that roadmap were identified based on local governments that we talked to and what their priorities were. We're also producing standalone resources outside of that, which I'll show you in a moment. And we've been having quarterly meetings. We've had 3 so far, presenting on different topics related to energy efficiency in buildings. And usually we'll talk a little bit about those topics, and then we'll feature local governments who have done something innovative within that. So our last meeting was about tax incremental financing and how to incorporate sustainability within that. And we had 2 local governments talk about how they incorporated sustainability. So here are the topics that we identified as priorities for local governments that they wanted to see in the roadmap. And we've written the lead by example part of the roadmap so far, and we're going to present that soon to our network. And we're working on zoning and TIF next. And, you know, this roadmap is going to include guidance on how to get started with these topics, and then it's going to include in-depth case studies about local governments and what they're doing throughout Wisconsin and the Midwest as well. It'll also include like links to external documents, guidance that already exists through federal and state government that can help with learning about these things. This is a little bit about the structure of the roadmap, but I think I won't really talk about this too much. So as I said, it starts with planning, then lead by example, community outreach and support, local policies and ordinances like benchmarking ordinances or building performance standards, how to incorporate sustainability into zoning and into TIF policies. So another part of this is we met with Dane County, and they expressed interest in creating some sort of voluntary building standards. And Kathy Coons at Dane County expressed this interest because she said that, you know, a lot of these different local governments have some sort of affordable housing fund. The state has their QAP. And these different programs require different sustainability things of builders and developers. And those requirements are not the same. And so it's hard for builders to keep track of, or builders have told Kathy, it's hard for them to keep track of, you know, I have to comply with LEED for this, but I have to comply with this for Dane County or for Milwaukee. And so Kathy said, is there some sort of framework that this project team can make so that we can sort of standardize the requirements for different policies in these different communities? So right now we're starting to convene a working group of local governments to advise us on this, and we're creating a sort of good, better, best tiered approach. So a local government could pick the good tier to incorporate it into their affordable housing fund or to their TIF policy. And the good tier could be, LEED bonds and greenbelt homes and one other thing. And then all the way down to the best tier, which is, basically FIAS zero energy homes or LEED platinum. And they could pick that. And so there would be some sort of standardization across local governments throughout the state of what they require of developers and builders. So that's sort of something that we're just getting started based on feedback from one of our local governments. So we're convening this working group sometime in January, and we want more participation. And if any of y'all are interested in joining and chiming in on how that should be structured, happy to have you. 3 more standalone resources we've developed so far. One is a buildings policy tracker. So this is basically a spreadsheet that's organized into different tabs based on type of policy, and it lists all the examples of that policy in Wisconsin, and then some in the Midwest and sometimes other parts of the US. So for example, there's a tab about TIF, and any local government in Wisconsin that incorporates sustainability or efficiency into their TIF policy is listed on that tab. There's a tab about benchmarking ordinances, and any local government in Wisconsin, which is only 2, or many in the Midwest, are listed there. And then we, at the bottom of each tab, we highlight sort of an exemplary policy that we think that local government should go to design their policy after. We also have a financial resources summary spreadsheet, which keeps track of some funding opportunities for local governments that want to make improvements or build a new building. And lastly, we've created a guide to leading by example through internal benchmarking, which sort of summarizes how to use Energy Star Portfolio Manager to benchmark local government facilities. So I can real quick.
Question.
Yeah.
What is QAP?
QAP is the Qualified Action Plan, and it is the state's. I'm not an expert on it, but I think it's the state's like version of an affordable housing fund. Like if a developer wants funds for a development project, they have to meet a bunch of standards, not only sustainability standards, but like this is who I'm going to be renting to. This is what rent is going to be. This is where it's going to be. This is how it's going to support local businesses. So it's a lengthy document that any affordable housing developer that wants state funds must comply with. And it in the past like 3 years has had sustainability requirements, and they've really ramped it up in a great way. And it has some pretty strict standards for complying with it. So let me figure out which of, I'm just going to show you real quick these resources. So y'all can still see my screen, right? Okay. So our resource hub is hosted on the Wisconsin Local Government Climate Coalition website. I can send you all the link to this, but for example, the building policy tracker is, as I said, sort of a spreadsheet. Let's see if it loads. So, for example, if we go to TIF policies, this tab has different towns or villages or cities listed, and then it talks about when their TIF policy was enacted, and then it has details about how they incorporate sustainability into that policy. And then at the end of each row, it has a link to that policy, so you can read the whole thing if you'd like.
That's great. That's really handy.
And there's a bunch of tabs. There's transit-oriented development, green zoning, residential assistance programs, building performance standards. So some of these policies, like building performance standards, don't exist in Wisconsin yet. but we think they should, we think they can. And so we provide some examples of those in this. Yeah, and then as I said at the bottom, we highlight a policy we think is exemplary and provide any other definitions that we need.
Tom, do you have a sense of how a local government gets involved with the local government climate collaborative?
Yeah, so it's not hard to join, I don't think. Allison Carlson, who leads that group, is a project partner. And so if y'all are interested, I can connect you with her. And I think you just have an initial conversation with her. You talk about like the values of your community, and then you join. I don't think it's really difficult. So I'm happy to connect you with her if you're interested.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's sort of a summary of this project. And I will say, like, we've been having these quarterly meetings about different topics, and we're also gonna in the new year start meeting with local governments who are involved in the project one-on-one to try to understand what their particular needs are. And being involved in the project just means saying you're interested. Then you'll get our emails about the quarterly meetings. You can attend if you want, and you'll get all the resources that we send out. So.
We're a really small team. I think Carly, how many full-time staff are there at the village? Like not Parks and Rec kind of staff, but like there's 2 of you, 3 of you?
Like in the office
Yeah.
here. Yeah, probably. Yeah, there's 3 of us total.
Yeah, and then there's a sustainability committee. So Tom, I'm just kind of curious if do you have local governments or do you have municipalities where volunteers are engaging in the conversation, or is it all local government staff who are engaging?
So the ones who are engaging a lot are the ones that are local government staff. We have smaller communities that expressed interest and get our emails, but haven't been really getting involved and showing up to the quarterly meetings, I think because of capacity. But that, I don't think, like, nothing precludes volunteers from attending these meetings. It's just, that hasn't been happening. I want that to happen. And also, one reason we are starting to meet with local governments one-on-one is we've realized, like, these quarterly meetings that are an hour and a half long, even though they just happen once a quarter, they're not convenient for everyone. Not everyone can be in an hour and a half long meeting. And so just meeting people where they are is something we're trying to do more of.
Yeah. Thank you. That's helpful.
Any other questions or?
Carly, Michael, I'm so like I bet you guys have questions. Michael, all your work on TIF and electrification, like your presence on the board. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I'm just trying to be honest with you, I'm just trying to wrap around. Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out like what I want to ask about is what I'm trying to do. Because it sounds like all this is in motion. So it sounds like in order to it sounds like ways in Wisconsin that they're causing building codes to be enforced to a higher level is you're either one looking for TID funding or 2 you're looking for other form of state funding. Is that correct? Because it isn't the law, so you so you attach qualifications on the money that, say, developer is receiving, is that correct? Or am I
Yes.
thinking about that wrong? Like, I'm just trying to, I'm just trying to take like what you said and like, I don't know,
So
figure it out.
yeah, I mean, in Wisconsin, what you can't do is tell, yeah, it's hard because I,
Right.
I'm wearing my recce hat, and I've had a conversation with Melissa not wearing my recce hat, which I'm not going to take off right now, but yeah, for the state cannot says that you cannot rule about how a building is built. But if a builder is getting any funds from the city or the state or the town or the village, then you can say you only get this money if you do this. That being said, you
Not
can.
doing any of that though.
Right. We're not doing any of that right now. That's right.
Right.
That's the thing that we want to drive home. We are doing none of that.
And
So
there
we
are
have,
a lot of creative ways to do that. Like, there is TIF. There's also
Yeah, which we
something.
require, so this is very unique, is we require a referendum to open a new TID district.
Hmm.
right, but we have one.
That's
But,
about to close.
well,
Yeah.
we're trying to close it, but nobody, I don't think anyone's applied for new money inside of it in a long time. That's the
Right.
thing, and I don't know if anyone is, and I don't know if it would be approved.
Yeah.
Tom, you said there are other, so there's TIF. What else?
So another thing is benchmarking ordinances and building performance standards. Benchmarking ordinances are important not because you're telling builders to do anything. Really, they're about existing buildings, but what you're doing is you're making people aware of their energy use as it compares to other people's energy use. And then you can sort of work one-on-one with building owners and say, your building is really energy intensive. It shouldn't be. There's something wrong with your system. Like, you need to go try looking at this, So that's where benchmarking ordinances come in.
So when
Milwaukee
you
and
say
Madison
that,
have one.
what does that mean? I don't know what that means. Like, what would that read like? Like, what does that, like, you are required to, what? I don't know, like, per square footage, how much natural gas you're using a year, how much electricity you're using? Like, is that like what that is? Is that like,
So, yeah, sorry, I should have explained that. So, benchmarking ordinances usually are about commercial buildings only or commercial and multifamily. Um, and they usually say any buildings greater than X size have to report their energy use intensity, which is the energy use per square foot, on an annual basis, usually. And then that usually that goes to the local government. Sometimes the local government makes that publicly available. So not only does the local government know who is being too energy intensive, the public knows too. So that's usually how benchmarking ordinances work. Sometimes they're about greenhouse gas emissions rather than energy use intensity, but that's sort of rare. Usually it's about how much energy are you using per square foot. And usually they only apply to buildings that are 25,000 square feet or greater, or even 100,000 square feet or greater. So that's another strategy. Another one is building performance standards, which don't exist in Wisconsin yet, which basically say they're usually passed after a benchmarking ordinance, and they say, okay, this year you have this much energy use intensity. In 5 years, we need you to reduce that by 15%. If you don't comply, you get fined this much. In another
really?
5 years, you have to reduce it by another 15%.
They would get fined, so it's like an ordinance, like it's like a law that they have to bring down the amount of energy they're using.
Yeah. So
And we don't have them in the state.
yeah, they don't exist in the state, but Milwaukee has committed to implementing one. Um, they basically, you sort of have to benchmark first to understand how much energy people are using, and then you can tell them to reduce it. Milwaukee just passed their benchmarking ordinance, so it'll probably be a couple more years before they pass a building performance standard. There's
And
also
these,
some. Go
and
ahead,
these
sorry.
are legal, and these are legal in Wisconsin? Like, I mean.
Yes.
Okay,
They just haven't been implemented yet.
right, I guess not, I mean. Okay,
There's also something called a sustainable building ordinance, which I think is really interesting and is sort of like a new type of policy that a lot of local governments in Minnesota are implementing. And those basically say you don't have to build LEED Platinum or to this standard or that standard. But if you do, we'll give you a bigger height allowance, or we'll give you a greater floor to area ratio, or we will expedite the permitting process or make the permitting process cheaper. So it's incentivizing building to a certain energy efficiency standard. That also doesn't exist in Wisconsin, but it could.
yeah,
This
okay,
is so
yes.
helpful. This is so
Well,
great.
no.
Tom.
Yeah, okay.
Um, so, and Tom, can you remind us, so to remind us what RECI stands for again?
RECI is resilient and efficient code implementation. So it was a huge grant that went out to like, I think the first round was like 30 recipients, and then there was a second round of funding, which just got announced recently, which is like another 30. And this one is for all of Wisconsin, and the second round has one that covers like native nations throughout the Midwest. So there's some overlapping ones, but they all relate to codes and advancing codes. But our project also relates to things outside of codes because of the unique situation within Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now I have because I'm not familiar at all with like the Wisconsin building code. Like you said, it was old and they're going through the process of updating it. Now, this is gonna be a foolish question, but like, what are things that they're updating? Is it just simple things like requiring more insulation? And like
Exactly. Yeah.
stuff
So
like that? Is that really all it is? I mean, not all, but you know.
So our energy code is for residential is based on a model code that was published in 2009. The commercial code is based on a model code from 2015. So those codes just don't require enough when it comes to insulation, when it comes to how much heat windows and doors let out, when it comes to how you have to insulate HVAC ducts through your house. The the standards were just lower then. And as things have gotten more affordable and as our understanding of how buildings work has gotten better, model codes for how buildings should be built as they relate to energy have gotten stricter. And yet all we require of builders still is a standard from 2009. So yes, we're updating how much insulation you have to put in, how good the windows are, how a home is built to conserve energy.
And Tom, can you tell us so who decides on building codes?
So it's complicated. So I mentioned there are a lot of councils. The UDCC, which is the Uniform Dwelling Code Council, is appointed by the governor, and they make a recommendation. And then a small committee within the state legislature is basically supposed to just approve it after the governor says, this is what I want to do. So they make a recommendation to the governor. The governor says, yes, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to update it. And then that committee in the legislature is supposed to approve it. What happened was they actually didn't approve it because some builder and developer lobby groups convinced them not to. Kind of unprecedented, and also, according to the governor, a breach of power. So the UDCC has just started to meet, and they decide what to recommend it's updated to. We think they will recommend it's updated to either the 2021 model code or the 2024 model code. But it remains to be seen.
Okay. Super helpful.
I have to hop off in 2 minutes, but I'm happy to take one or two more questions, and then I would love for y'all to get engaged with this project at whatever capacity you can, whether it's coming to the quarterly meetings or just agreeing to receive our emails and our resources. So,
Well, I have this one quick question, like if they update to the 2021 or the 2024 code, how much more efficiency would that give like a residential dwelling? Like you were talking about, like that benchmarking performance and, lead stuff, like, does it like jump them to like the bottom lead level in terms of insulation, or is that like a level way above? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like how?
yeah, I don't have exact numbers for you, but I know it is significant. And I can get you those because Slipstream has done an analysis like that, at least for 2021, about how much like each successive code changes like the energy use of a home. But it is significant. I mean, if you put in like the insulation that some states are requiring is leagues better than what some houses in Wisconsin are being built with, and not that much more expensive. So it's interesting also because the newer codes have better compliance pathways for builders to comply with the code. So there's actually more options for how builders comply with the newer energy codes than our old code. So in a way, even though they'll say it's worse, it actually makes their lives easier.
Gotcha.
Tom, thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
Very
I
helpful.
I really enjoyed talking to you, and I will send you this presentation. And Melissa, if you want me to connect you with Allison, I can do that.
Okay.
And I can also add y'all to the email list if you're interested.
Okay. All right. I'll be in touch with you about kind of what our next steps are. But thank you so much for joining us on this evening, and from your family's home and probably from your time off. So thank you.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Tom. Really enjoyed it.
Have a good evening.
Tom.
Bye, Tom. Michael, flagging that just like last month, I'm in the same situation where I have another meeting that starts at 7, just because tonight's meeting is the third Wednesday, and I ordinarily have another meeting that starts at 7 on the first and third Wednesday. So I'm gonna have to hop in 13 minutes as well. So I just wanted to apologize in advance, and hopefully when we're back on our regular schedule, I won't have that kind of time constraint.
Okay, no worries. Yep, sounds good. You said you had an update about the Middleton Cross Plains. Let's just go back to that. We're back on the courthouse.
Yeah. When I was reviewing the minutes, I remembered that that I said on the last call that I would report back from that committee. So the report back is that is a mostly kind of input, a committee for input. They're not doing a lot of decision making. What the meeting was about last month was, or this month, since our last meeting, I had a meeting with the committee. It was a presentation by McKinstry, which is a firm that the school district is contracting with to develop a roadmap to achieve their goal. So the school district has a goal of 100% renewable energy by 2035. And that includes electricity, but it also includes like transportation as well. So like building heating, they're moving to electrify. And so that was the goal that was set. That goal was set in 2021. And actually it's what our sustainability plan goal was modeled, and it was intended to mirror the school district's goal of renewable energy by 2025. So the school district has that goal adopted in 2021. They contracted with McKinstry to develop a roadmap for how that could be achieved. And that roadmap was essentially laid out in that meeting in this for the committee. And now they're moving into that roadmap is sort of a little like high level, and now they're moving into the next phase of getting like brass tacks. Here's exactly how much it's going to cost. Here are the specific metrics about like or mechanisms for how this would roll out. They shared some projections about like which schools would get geothermal and which schools would get solar by when. And so they're expecting all of the schools to have solar panels by, I think, 2020 or 2032 or something. Stock Trail, they're gonna install geothermal because they've got like a boiler that's got to be replaced anyway, and so they're planning on that. So this committee is more for input, like it's just an opportunity for community members and kind of stakeholders from different parts of the school district to provide feedback rather than it being so that they get immediate feedback from the community. But there's not like a lot of decision making. So we don't have a meeting in January. We'll meet again in February. And it's possible that one of the things that we might do in addition to provide input is we might co-craft like a like a sustainable purchasing policy for the school district, or at least give some input into that. But McKinstry is going to be continuing to work with the school district to help flesh out the specifics around the roadmap, and happy to keep the village apprised of that. We've got, 2 schools from the school district in our village, and so it's going to impact that. I think Glacier Creek. Anyway, I'm happy to share more details as they emerge, but that's the report out.
Well, that's crazy that they
Mhm.
like
That's
got
awesome.
that like involved. Is that roadmap like available online at all, or did you?
That's a great question, Michael. It seems like it should be, but I'm actually gonna see I don't know the answer to that. But I can find out kind of where it lives. I just need to make
It's kind of
that.
be interesting to see that, like if,
Yeah.
I'm all about copying everything. I mean, if we, I don't know if we want to do anything, we don't have anything like that. I don't know if we want anything like that, but if this group is basically kind of doing that stuff, we could just be like, this is how much it's gonna cost to,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just like crazy.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
Otherwise,
Well,
I think I know, I have the contact information for the operations director. The gentleman who requested that we would join.
Yeah.
I'd probably
Yep.
reach out to him. I can't remember what his
Yeah.
name is.
He would
Jared?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. He would be the person to reach out to. That's right.
Okay. I will do that and then report back to you all.
Thank you, Carly. That's great.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay, so let's see here. So we talked about the NOMO May thing at the last meeting. And I basically took our old resolution from last year. This hasn't gone to the village board, and just changed the dates and threw it in so that we could actually see it. I don't know.
I can pull it up.
I don't know if we want to vote on it or is it good, our vote from last time? Was that actually a real vote? I mean, I think it sort of was, right?
Yeah, it was. However I had worded it in the minutes.
Yeah, to implement a resolution suspending the grass act, which is basically what.
Yeah, but I think it'd be good to just go through it one more time.
Yeah.
Here
So
it is.
basically, this is the resolution. It's the same thing as last year. Our motion from last month just suspended section 2408, but in here, we actually say to suspend mowing at the 1601 Bourbon Road until June 1st, which is what I think they did last year, which is the lot over on Bourbon where the new village hall is going to be. I don't think it's going to be I don't know if it's going to be being built by then or.
No,
Okay.
no, it will not.
So that's in here. I know I went back to the one from 2023, the resolution looked at that, and that resolution used to say, don't mow the grass here at Village Hall and don't mow some stuff in Xander Park, but I think, to be honest with you, I think the board took it out when it made it to the board that year. They were not wanting the grass up at Village Hall to go unmowed. So this is just the same one as last year. What do you guys, is this okay?
I motion to approve if we need that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
And
Steve will agree or second.
thank you.
Uh,
We have a
with
motion and a second to approve this actual resolution now. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
I
I
All those opposed, nay. All right, now the real resolution can move on. It's actually really clear, not just sort of made up.
thanks for
But
moving
what,
that. Yeah, thanks for doing that. Sometimes we remembered at the very last minute. So Michael, thanks for getting out ahead of it.
mhm.
do we want that resolution, what board meeting? Do we want this?
Anyone, just
Anyone?
put it like,
Do you want it
Yeah.
in January?
yeah, I
Okay.
mean, the early, because last year it got
It was
like,
like February, March.
oh, last year it got approved at the April
Oh,
one.
maybe I was
Yeah.
looking at the.
It was super
Oh,
late.
like, it was super late, and so by doing that, like, there wasn't a whole, we didn't, it's just like we didn't have a lot of advertising for it, or it didn't feel like, because it was just kind of like, oh, we just approved
Okay.
this, oh, and it starts in 3
But
days.
it was just like, I didn't know if you wanna, it's
Oh,
too early,
sure
if
you-
you wanna
I would say
wait.
probably sooner the better, right? Let's just get
Yeah.
it done in case there's,
Okay,
I don't think anybody's going to object. Famous last words, but
Yeah, I don't,
okay.
I mean,
I'll throw
Yeah.
it on the January meeting then. No
yeah, I
problem.
mean, if it gets approved, then, we just. Basically what'll happen then when it gets approved, then that would just probably mean like sometime in April. We could get the yard signs out and we kind of
Yep,
put
we
them
have a
up.
bunch of them, I heard.
Right, exactly. Whereas last year, because it didn't get approved until the end of April, because the March meeting got moved up because that was when spring break was.
Oh,
And so it jumped in front of our sustainability meeting, so the resolution wasn't done yet.
Oh, no.
That's what happened. That's why I'm trying to get this so early.
yeah, we're golden.
Yeah, because it got leapfrogged, so it didn't get approved till April, and that's when like the signs never came out and all that, so.
Sounds good.
and I know there's an agenda item too. I owed you guys an update for the website, and I'm sorry, I'm not completely done with that. I needed to see this deadline here to get going. It's mostly there. And what is the best way? Should I just share the draft via email for a little wordsmithing? Essentially, it's as we said, there's nothing wrong with no mow May, but we should probably encourage people to take a more comprehensive approach if they can.
Like, were you asking like for input from the committee members? Is that what you were meaning, Steve, by emailing? Or were you just
No, I was gonna take a shot at the first draft and send it around and then have you guys,
We could
wordsmith
review
it a
it
little
next
bit.
meeting.
Yeah, just
Oh,
review it.
yeah. Definitely, yeah, just do that and send it to us and.
Is it okay to review by email or does it have to be done during a committee meeting?
Since we aren't. I don't know.
You're gonna have to like blind carbon copy for the quorum thing.
Yeah, I mean,
Just for educational purposes, we're not like
yeah. 'cause
Well,
Voting
if
on-
you reply all, then it's a walking quorum. So you can't like reply to the group.
Even though we're having a discussion about what we want to put on the website. Like
That's
that's,
Yeah, because it's outside of a meeting.
no, I understand that, but it's just working on crafting something that's. You get what
Yeah.
I'm saying? How,
I think
no, I
I think you could send it and then maybe everybody brought their revisions back to the meeting. I just think the part where you're back and forth with each other is a violation of
well, you're right.
meeting stuff.
No, it definitely could be,
I have to run. So how about Steve, if you why don't you draft something and we can talk about it in the December meeting? I mean, we'd have to approve it or agree to it anyway. So if you send that out, then that can be an agenda item.
Or Steve, you could draft something and like Carly said, blind carbon copy me and Melissa so that I can't reply to her. But I could reply to you with my changes and she could reply to you with her changes, but her and I can't.
Oh, okay. That's
Does that
legit.
make sense?
Sorry, it's so confusing.
Yeah, if you like blind,
No.
if you send
Okay.
out and just blind carbon copy Melissa and I, we could respond back with our changes to
Okay.
you. And because I'm not having a conversation with Melissa, I'm having a conversation with you, and that would be completely legal.
Okay, that's fine. Yep. Sustainability on the up and up.
Okay.
before I run, is there any follow-up that you want me to do with Tom before our next meeting? Like, Carly, do you want to think about whether we want to engage at the staff level with the recce or anything like that? Any follow-up that we need, or should we just talk about it in January?
I would say probably talk about it in January. I'll have to do some thinking
Yeah.
Okay.
myself.
Okay. That's fair.
Okay, so it's looking like I have to go, Melissa. So then we have the grant stuff, the comprehensive plan stuff, which is just basically putting the plan in. Maybe I'll do something on that. We have the plan. There is an updated light ordinance in there. I did do some stuff on that. It's gonna be what it is, I don't know. But it's shrinking down, or it's just getting a little bit more refined. It's coming along. So I don't know, January, what does the January meeting look like? Do you want me to email you sometime? We can figure out a date?
Well, I mean, we could stick to our usual schedule, right? So that would be the second Wednesday, the 8th. Does that work for folks? Because that works for me.
See, that's where it gets, the 8th I think will be fine, but because with the first being on that Wednesday, I don't know if the finance committee is gonna have a meeting that night, because they have their
Oh.
meetings the first Wednesday.
Yes, they are meeting.
They're meeting January 1st though?
No, they're meeting the week after.
They're
They're
meeting the
gonna meet-
8th. Okay. Yeah, Michael, would you mind then trying to help us schedule something a different
Then it
date?
gets like
So
funky,
sorry.
that's,
Yeah.
yeah, because that's what I wasn't sure, like, is it the 8th or is it the 15th, or do we want to move to a Tuesday?
So
or-
let's look at moving it for a week past, and Melissa's got to go. Do I
Yeah.
need to formally adjourn the meeting, or
Yes.
we can do it
Yeah.
after?
No, okay, so I'll send out something with this next meeting in January. Okay, I motion,
Okay.
someone makes a motion to adjourn.
Steve will make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
Okay, motion and second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Thanks, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Have a
Have a
Bye.
good night.
Ugh. I was like.